Hey everyone, and welcome back to All Things True Crime. My name is Bridget, and today is episode 3 in our series on Missy Lemeron. In today's episode, we will hear from Missy's mother again. Since our first interview, the family was able to obtain the police reports in relation to Missy's murder. This has helped them with questions that they had. You'll also hear about how Emmett and Avante are doing as we draw closer to the first anniversary of their mother's death. So how are you?
I'm okay. I'm hanging in there.
All things considered.
All things considered.
It's been a big week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you feel comfortable sharing about what you've just learned now that you have the police report?
Well, I think he premeditated a lot of it. Because he must have, he got the gun. But he bought lots of bullets. He made a video or did some. I don't really understand I didn't read all of the police report in details because it bothered me a lot. But from what I understood that I read, he must have made a video or put some stuff off to the side in his house for his brothers to give to the boys or somebody, because he wrote something to who may be reading this, or he wrote his brothers' names. Please give this stuff to Avante and Emmett. I don't know what that stuff is. I don't know if it's a goodbye video. I don't know if it's videos of him and the boys that he had made throughout the years, but they've never contacted me to give me that stuff. But that's premeditated. He wrote that letter. He didn't wake up that morning. Like in his Facebook post, he wrote, I woke up and chose violence. Well, he didn't wake up and choose violence and then do all of that. He also bought a gun cleaning kit, I think 2 days prior to murdering her and killing himself. Receipt found in his garbage can, I believe.
So since we last spoke, you have been able to get a copy of the police report as well as a transcription of the 911 call, which is just horrible seeing it. But even that call sounds like it was planned as well.
Yes, and then he during the 911 call, he's very disturbing because he shoots Missy. Okay, he shoots Missy twice, from what I understand, and then he shot himself once, and then he calls for help for himself.
So I actually think that what happens from what I've read is that he calls 911.
Right.
He hasn't shot himself yet. In the police report, it says that there are notes that aren't actually transcribed in the 911 call, but in the officer notes, it says that the dispatch hear a pop of a gun. He calls 911 to alert them for the boys, I think. But then whilst the call's going on, he actually kills himself.
Well, now, see, I thought that he shot himself once and then he shot himself a second time, because when they also say the gun was jammed. So I don't know how he could have shot himself and the gun was jammed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, from my knowledge is that he tells the boys that he's going to.
Okay.
He calls 911.
Okay.
He's heard first on the 911 and he gives the address.
Yep.
And he thinks that, yep, that's me. I've done my job there, giving them the address. And then he does it.
I don't know. Well, he's made such a mess that I don't know if this Emmett's ever going to be okay, because Emmett's which is a mental facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very hard to read about how Emmett wanted to talk. He needed to talk. As soon as it happened, he just wanted to talk and talk and talk about it.
Yeah. Right. And then he says in that thing too, like, you want to hear my death story?
Yeah, he talks very... in a very adult way about it all.
He told me yesterday that Walter was a psycho.
Interesting.
Interesting, because nobody's ever called Walter a psycho.
No,
Nobody.
because you're very careful about what you say.
I'm
You
very
don't talk
careful.
about it around
No,
them.
and Missy would have never called Walter a psycho, even though she should have. She wouldn't have. He did refer to Walter as a psycho, and then he refers to Walter as, he tells me he loves his dad. His dad. I love my dad, but Walter is a monster and a psycho. So
That's quite interesting.
that's quite interesting that he thinks of him as two different people. And I said to him, Emmett, you can love your dad. I want, you should, he's your dad. But I think that's because he remembers at times in his life Walter played with him, or his dad, as he refers to him. He remembers those happy times, and that's what he's trying to remember. But then he's so angry that,
Yeah.
he is angry.
Of course and he has every right to be. In the transcript of the 911 call, he says that he knows that so obviously before the call, Walter's told him that he's going to kill himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it reports that. So that alone is enough trauma
Mm-hmm.
for a child, let alone what he went through.
Yeah, it's very disturbing that Emmett describes his mom's eyes stayed open.
Yes.
It's very disturbing. Walter's eyes were blinking to me. But for him to tell me that stuff, or for him to say that in that report, and he had night terrors a few weeks ago. He was having night terrors for like 3 nights in a row, and it was right before I got the police report. And he was like, she's screaming when he would come downstairs by me. And I'm like, who's screaming? And that's all he would say, she's screaming. Now I could assume as he was talking about his mother.
Do you feel like after reading the police report, you at least have more answers?
Yeah, I think I have more answers. I was more mad, but I have more answers.
Yep.
I understand Emmett a little better.
Yes, which is amazing, which is good. If that's
right.
If it helps him, I can understand now why you didn't want the actual recording either.
Right, and I do understand now why Avanti, when he gets really upset, he crawls and hides under the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they say and Emmett says that's where he hid with her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's probably where he feels safest.
Do you think he's going to be a more quiet child?
No, he's very loud.
Well, I mean, I love that.
Yeah. I think that's why Walter probably abused him, is because he was loud. He calls everybody mama.
Oh.
That's his big thing, is mama. He does, though, say that him shot her and acts like he's shooting.
Do you think he remembers?
Yeah, I do think he remembers, and now I think he can tell us.
I saw in the police report, I saw the copy of the letter that Missy had sent to her neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's very disturbing to me that she did not tell me that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can tell that she's very concerned.
Very scared. Why else would you give a letter to your neighbors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she might have been protecting you.
Mm-hmm. Emmett, I found it interesting, too, that they tried to get Emmett to go outside, and he said no, that he wanted to stay in the house. But, Emmett was always taught not to go outside.
Yeah.
Not to open the doors, no matter what. And they asked him something about being safe, and he said, I will be in a minute or something.
I thought that was interesting.
Then after Walter shot himself, he said, I'm safe now.
Yep. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I was like, oh, God, that poor baby. So he felt safer after Walter shot himself than he did while Walter was there alive with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I suppose I might have too because Walter had a gun.
And he didn't want to go out the back door because that's
Walter
where
was
his
laying
dad
there.
was.
Yeah, he was laying in front of it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So even the idea of him being near that door, he didn't want to go
Nope.
anywhere near it.
Mm-mm.
And I think, did it help you
But
knowing?
Emmett didn't go by Walter a lot.
I think before the police report, we were sort of questioning. You were questioning how he got in or what the interaction was.
Yeah.
And so I think it makes sense now, doesn't it, from the police report?
Yeah.
That she was going out, she was taking things
Yeah. She was taking
to the
things
car,
out to the car to start the car.
which is also, again, premeditated.
Right. Yeah, he was standing out there waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, his car was parked down the road. Yeah, his car was not by. I don't know where exactly his car was from her house, but it was not like out in her driveway. It was not out around the block. It was down the road somewhere.
Yeah.
And her stuff was dropped out there. So he startled her. She had an alarm also on every one of her windows. I did not know that. She told me that when she went there to pack up Missy's house. Every one of her windows. They said like there was an alarm on some. My daughter said every window had an alarm on it.
And then I found it interesting that his phone was blowing up. Everyone was trying to contact him, and Emmett had the phone.
Because of that
Facebook post, yeah.
Because he set that Facebook post off to go off as soon as he shot himself. Because Emmett has asked me, I don't know, sometime in December or January, he told me that he loved Walter. I loved his dad. I don't know which word he used. And he asked me if I loved him.
What did you say to that?
I said, Emmett, I once loved him like a son. I no longer can, but I love my dad, and I want you to love your dad.
Yeah.
And then I just had tears running down my face, and thank God I was driving and he was in the back seat of the truck.
I think you're doing as much as you possibly can to make sure that he's getting the help that he needs to help him, not just now but in the future, so that it doesn't compound for later on down the road. It's really important to deal with it.
Right, and he has to get the help now while he's little, because later on it's going to be too late.
What was there any factors you think that contributed to what happened?
Him just being a sociopath, or him just being a monster and wanting all control over her. And I think he was suicidal, and he was not gonna just kill himself without having her with him.
So you think he did it to
have control?
Yeah.
To have control over. Yeah.
So that she didn't have the peace that she wanted.
Right.
Did the police offer a service to clean the home?
No.
So you had to find a crime scene cleaner?
No, I did. My daughter rented from her bosses, and they hired somebody. Yeah, they had some, I don't remember who went in there no more, but Dalton, who came to her house that day, yeah, they hired, I don't know, somebody went in there, cleaned it, and they just like tore everything out.
Like, God bless crime scene cleaners for doing what they do. They do things so that families, because, you know, what about a family who has to live in that home again, can't do anything else, but they shouldn't have to clean up after a loved one?
Yeah, because there was quite a bit of a mess.
Well, even the struggle, because didn't she push him into a TV
Yeah, she pushed him into a TV. They fought for quite a while in the living room. Now, in the police report, Emmett says they were in there arguing over who lied, who something. Who lied, who did something. I don't remember what he said, and then they were shoving. Her hair was everywhere, my friend said.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get the autopsy back when I was questioning that, though, yet. They did tell me.
Did you want the autopsy back, or?
I did get it back now.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, they told me, they did tell me she had COVID.
Really?
Yeah, that was the first thing out of their mouth. I'm like, are you?
Yeah, that wasn't the reason this happened, guys. That's.
I was mad. I swore at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, is that what you called me for? Is that what you're gonna effing tell me? Because she died.
Factor of her death. It's not.
I'm like, if that's on her death certificate, you're gonna be in trouble when I get it.
Yeah.
No. They said, well, it won't be on there, but we wanted you to know. Why do I need to know she had COVID? And I figured they all had COVID because when she was at Golden House, they were all sick.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, they were all not deadly sick, but pretty deadly sick. That's one of the reasons she went home from there, is because, when you're at a family shelter or whatever, she was in one room and they were puking, temperatures, I don't know, like, she couldn't handle it. I couldn't go there and help her because, nobody can go in there. I dropped medicine off and crackers and juice and stuff like that to her, but
COVID. Oh, who cares? And then I wanted to ask you something else that I thought about. It must be really, really hard for you personally because your children's father was murdered, and so you had to then help your children through that, and then now you're doing the same thing with your grandchildren.
Yeah. It's sad because my grandson right now is where my kids were years ago. Exactly. Emmett is exactly where his mom was.
It's just it's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's so sad
even at half her age.
But how are you?
I'm okay. I mean, if I didn't have Emmett, I would be much worse. I'm okay. I just keep going. Yeah. But sometimes it gets overwhelming. Today when I was with Emmett, I just held him and cried. Some days I cry.
We hope that in hearing about what Emmett and Avante have gone through and are still going through will spark something in someone, enough spark to leave a bad relationship or get help for behaviour patterns that they see in themselves or in their partner. No child should be dealing with what these two precious children are. On the next episode, we will hear from Missy's sister Shelley. Her story is one of such heartbreak as well as strength, as she recalls both her sister and her father's murders.
She made it seem like they had the perfect life ever. That's why I'm so mad at myself and father. I just wish she would have literally said, I need help. But it's my fault because I shouldn't have had to wait for her to say that.
To ensure you don't miss the next video, be sure to click on the subscribe button as well as the bell to be notified when the next episode is out. Until next time, bye for now.